Alrighty, welcome to another edition of Late Night with Smitty. I am joined by Keziah Hoeppner, game day coordinator for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It's a Blue Bomber type of week. I'm having Ed Tate on tomorrow morning.
Oh, no way.
So I'm pretty excited about that. I've kind of I've had Nick Taylor on. I was able to get him. I've had Derek Taylor. I've had Doug Brown over the last 4 years of doing this, and then your uncle texted me, and I was like, I know a few Sheldons, and so yeah, it's kind of nice to see all of this kind of how it's such a small world, and told me a bit about your history, just with playing at the U of M with the volleyball and that sort of thing. So maybe we can start there, and then we can transition into is it June yet?
Yeah, exactly. I started playing volleyball with actually the pilots. I started out in Audubon junior pilots there,
Nice.
and then transitioned to junior bisons, which got me in with U of M, and I played 5 years there.
Hmm.
So that was a great time, despite the whole COVID situation and
Right.
year off there. But yeah, played 5 years, ended up actually tearing my ACL twice. And within that time is when I learned that I wanted to work in sports because I got to be surrounded by sports without actually be playing.
Right.
And I kind of just learned the business side behind things. I got to run the Instagram and whatnot, and that kind of led me into, hey, I think I could do this for a job.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's awesome, right? Sometimes, yeah, you find that niche, and it was like when I interviewed the Brandon Wheat Kings play-by-play guy. He goes, "Yeah, I was kind of up there," and then I was like, "Yeah, I kind of tried it out. Yeah, and this is what I wanted to do." So,
Mhm.
during your time playing volleyball, who was Garth Pitchke your coach, or am I?
Ken Bentley was my coach.
Okay, I'm
Hmm.
getting the dates all confused there, but that's interesting that you started with the pilots. My daughter's
Hmm.
in club volleyball, so it's an exciting time. So, um, what were kind of some of your highlights of being at the U of M playing in volleyball?
Oh, the people. I think sports, like you can be as good as an athlete as possible, but if you don't have good teammates, it's not going to be a good experience.
Yeah,
That's just what I believe. And I found getting to play volleyball day in and day out, but also have that shared grind of you have to go to school, you have to pass your exams, you got to get good grades.
right.
Um, it can get hard for sure, but it's the people that support you and your teammates, and you're all in this together. And we didn't start off having a very good team in my first 2 years. I'll be honest with you, I think won 4 games out of 24, so it wasn't great. Um, but we stuck together, we stuck through it, and in my last 2 years, we made it to nationals and we're top three both times, or 4 and 3, I guess. And this year that team's cruising, and hopefully they're winning. But
Nice.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it is about it just doesn't happen, right? It's about looking
Hmm.
to win, and I know with my daughter's volleyball, they're kind of going through that a bit, and they had their one tournament, and they got another one coming up. So working together, the teamwork and communication is all important,
For
correct?
sure, yeah. When you're playing club volleyball, I coached a few times, and it was always just fun to see the kids interact and like enjoy playing with each other. And I think if you have a team that enjoys being together, they're automatically going to play better because they're going to communicate better on the court and
Yeah,
they're going to have more fun. And when you're playing free, you're playing better, right? So
for sure.
it's all about the team.
Yeah, totally. So when did you start working for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? My favorite.
I actually just started in May because I
Okay.
graduated. Yeah, I graduated from the U of M in April with a business degree from Asper, and tossed my name in the hat, hoping for the best, and managed to get this job. So it was very cool.
So what is a day-to-day operation? So you've been with them for almost a year.
Hmm.
Um, so game day
No.
coordinator, does that involve with the I met the lady since I'm in retail, I meet a ton of people. So I met the one
Hmm.
person that's involved with all the food. So what is a
Okay, yeah, Patty.
what
Um,
does So what is the day-to-day operations besides? So what does tomorrow look like for you?
Okay, well, it's really hard to explain my job. So, as I do coordinate, help with game day coordination, but my actual title would be community relations coordinator. So that is anytime the Bombers are out in the community, autograph signing, visiting school for I Love to Read Month, any type of fair where there's a presence, like my team has planned it or we've coordinated it in some way and we're there. So tomorrow, actually, it's going to be a lot of planning for tomorrow. We're leaving on northern trips Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we're actually going up north to some northern communities,
Nice.
bringing some players and coaches with us, and we're going to run some flag football programs out there, meet with the community, eat lunch with them. It's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a very interesting experience getting all the way almost to Churchill. So
Yeah.
very cool. But yeah, my job, it's basically anything you can think of.
Right.
I've probably done it or helped do it. Yeah.
Okay, so they've done this before, and that would incorporate the names of like a Brady Oliveira,
Hmm.
maybe a Dalton Schoen in there too, right? So it's about getting into the community, and I believe that's why your job is so important, and that's why this
Hmm.
team is so relatable, correct?
Yeah, for sure. We try really hard to have a presence in the community, whether it be through just activations with our players or our amateur football programs, which we have more than I can count that we run. Since I believe December, we've been doing every single Sunday. We have three different camps running, and Saturdays we have Valor camps running, which I also play a part in. So just anything with that we can get kids playing football, we can get kids kicking a soccer ball. We're trying to do it for free, trying to get them in the doors and to grow that football community because the more kids you have playing, the better players you'll have and the more CFL players you'll have, hopefully.
Yep, totally. And that brings me back to last May. I got inbox from somebody. They said, "Oh, there's this football camp going on at the stadium. It's for
Hmm.
2 nights. Well, how much does it cost? Well, it's free. You get the t-shirts, and the kids are on the same field as the players, and
Hmm.
running those drills. And again, that's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally to the
I
team.
also I also run a women's club with the program, which I think is super cool because typically women in football isn't something that you see very often. So something that we really enjoy doing is a football 101 program. So we actually get the women on the field, on the turf, running football drills,
Yeah.
and they seem to love it. It's very low impact, very introductory, but getting them out there, moving around, throwing a football, learning how to tackle a dummy, it's really great to see. It's great to see women enjoying football and then obviously connecting over it after and growing the
Mhm.
fan base that way too.
Well, it's again funny you should mention this because I had Tina on a few
Oh
weeks ago,
yeah.
and she says that when then we were inboxing a bit, said she knows you, so hi Tina. And so yeah, just coordinating that, and then there was other people like on the page that have said, oh yeah, I've been involved with the football there and with the women's clinic and then with Holly Jefferson as well
Hmm.
involved. Again, it only brings validity to it, right? So. I always say, there's no gender barriers when
For
it comes
sure, yeah.
to the football, right? So,
Hmm.
um, so that's where do you kind of see that going maybe in the next 2, 3 years?
Hopefully we continue to grow that club. We have over 4,000 members actually now, but one event will range from typically 30 to 60. We have a few larger events where we'll have 400 to 500 in our tailgate. But just growing women in football in general, last year, one of my colleagues started a high school girls flag football program.
Hmm.
And I believe we had 17 teams, I believe it was. And this year, actually, we have 30 teams. So we've almost doubled in size. We've got schools that are wanting more than one team. And that is just great to see that like the girls want to get involved. And oftentimes it's girls that haven't played a different sport before, or it could be girls that play soccer and our flag football season happens to not overlap. And they're like, let's try something new. So when we're building girls up from that, I mean, high school level, then hopefully they go and they continue to play in the university levels or the women's leagues because, we have flag football in the Olympics now and we need girls out there in Canada representing us. So it's really cool to see that passion growing so young for a sport that personally, like when I was young, I have all brothers and all boy cousins except for one, and I was always throwing the football, but I never thought I'm going to play football because that just didn't exist. But had these camps kind of existed when I was playing, for sure, I would have been out there tossing a football. I would have been playing. It's such a great sport. It's so easy to get into, especially flag football. Like you don't have to get tackled, right? So I just think it's going to continue to grow. And if those girls continue to play football, awesome. If they don't, hey, join Women's Club. We'll stay fans,
Yeah.
right? So,
That's exactly it, right? And I think what you're describing here is what we've seen maybe in the women's hockey. Again, Canada, US, but we're seeing the other countries as well. And just, yeah, again, kids getting involved at the younger age, at the grassroots, it's only going to grow it and benefit it. I know there's an Anthony Parker out in Calgary. He's involved with women's football as well. So, you go to the stands in that 32,000 seat stadium.
hmm
There's a lot of women watching those games.
for sure.
And there's that uniqueness, right? I look over at my daughter who's going to be a teenager very soon, and she's doing this, right? She's very like into it, right? She gets it, she understands. So
Yeah.
it'll be exciting for her. So with the season a couple of months away, and then with the Grey Cup in November, do you kind of start some preliminary planning with that?
We're already jumping on the planning for the season. We
Hmm.
have been working on that for quite some time, actually. Get ahead of the curveball there. As for the Grey Cup, that's I feel like we have people that have been working on that for a while, and they're a few levels higher than I am. They're really good event planners, so that's super cool. They have really big ideas, and I think it's going to be a great success. As for where I get to be involved in that, I'm just waiting anxiously to learn, but
Right.
it's going to be I think it's going to be great. It's going to yeah, excited to see all those football fans come out to the stadium. Hopefully, we can sell it out. That would be fantastic because it's just how often do you get to watch a Grey Cup game in Winnipeg, right? It's not too often.
Yeah, well, it's once every 10 years.
Yeah.
That's why I got the three seats. I got four season tickets, but I got three because I couldn't pick. If the Bombers are in it, I'm not picking between the kids. So
Yeah.
uh, it doesn't come around. I think the point you're making is doesn't not come around
hmm
um, as often as other cities. We're seeing Calgary
For
get
sure.
2026. They had it in 2019. Who can
Yeah.
forget it, right? So do you have any access to maybe getting Taylor Swift here for the Grey Cup?
I wish. Somehow I don't think she's coming to Winnipeg.
Well, I've heard some rumors circulating that the Bombers could be in, and you don't have to tell us everything. They're in talks of maybe getting either Jason or Travis Kelsey up for the
Oh,
Grey.
really?
I've actually heard that.
Oh,
Um,
I have not been privy to those
okay,
conversations.
yeah, it's all good. So I think getting Jason here would be better. We'll see
hmm
where the Chiefs are on if they have the bye. If they don't have the bye, forget it.
Yeah.
So because again, the Zach Collaros thing, and
Yeah, for
the
sure.
people that know. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's good. What do you? So you had a whole year at this. What did you? What do you enjoy the most about your job? Like on a game day,
On a game day. Hmm.
or in general, or we can go into other aspects too. But on a game day.
Okay, I'll go on game day. I enjoy meeting people. I get the privilege. So last year we had better say this right, Cor Caleros Cup, no, Caleros Corporate Cup Challenge. That's what it is. And we would invite our sponsors out. I believe there would be three of them per game, and they get to come down to the field pregame and throw at our QB net, and then whoever gets the most in, they won. So I got the privilege of meeting all of them each game, bringing them down and kind of facilitating the behind the scenes of that contest. Some super interesting people. You just get to learn so much, even just standing there for 10 minutes with them, waiting for the game to begin, just striking up those little conversations. Loved that. Another aspect of my game day that I love is I get to coordinate the scholarships. So when we have an award, I get to meet the person that has won that award, and lots of super great, just amazing, kind people, and just learning from them. We had a young girl win a Samantha Mason Friendship Award, and she was just the cutest, so kind, just so happy to be there, and I just love seeing them their faces light up when they get their award or their check, and they get that recognition that not many people get.
Hmm.
Um, so I think I'm a big people person. So anytime I get to meet someone new and see them kind of smile, makes my day.
Right. And when you talk about the awards, I kind of always perk up when they do the Bob Irving one, for all the
Hmm.
guests for the show. And when he's on there, it's like, holy cow, like we're talking about a guy that a person accepting an award from a guy that called Bomber games from
Yeah.
1973 to 2021, minus the COVID year. I mean that's incredible, right? And just yeah, it is quite something, to
Hmm.
say the least. So how long are your game days? Is it get to the stadium by two and then you're home by two, or?
You know, I wish I could say that was true. No, we get to the stadium 8 a.m., 9 a.m., and home by 11, midnight, maybe,
Yeah,
depending. So it's quite a long day,
yeah.
very long day. But the nice thing is that everyone shows up at 9, so everyone's in it together. You're not. It's kind of that team aspect. It's
Yeah.
not one person showing up at 9 and one person showing up at 3. So long day, but I mean, you really look forward to that Saturday after. You look forward to
Mhm.
sleeping in, having
Yes.
a cup of coffee in the morning. Yeah.
It's yeah, it's again, I don't work for the Bombers and whatever, but do you have any do you have any superstitions even as an employee? I mean, I know what I used to do when I lived in Winnipeg. I used to drive around the stadium once,
Oh, okay.
for a game, and I'm not terribly superstitious or whatever. But yeah, there was times this past year we'd leave Steinbeck at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for a game, to get to some tailgates and whatever. But
Yeah, oh, for sure.
what was I asking? Any superstitions for you?
Me, no. I am not a superstitious person.
Hmm.
I kind of almost fell into that trap when I was playing volleyball. I was like, oh, I need to tie this shoe first. But then I held myself back. I was like, you know what, Kezia? That's not that big of a deal. You
Yeah,
can't fall into that trap because you never know how far down you can go.
right.
So I kind of stay away from that. But there are definitely some of my coworkers that are a little superstitious
Yes.
and take it very seriously. So I let them
Mhm.
have their thing and I kind of just sit back.
Right. So I guess that kind of leads into the question, like, how much of a fan are you, and how much is it more of you're like, this is my job?
I'm going to be very honest with you. When I first got this job, I had not really ever watched the Bombers. Been to one Bomber game before.
Okay.
So I hate to say it, I wasn't a huge fan, but I wanted to work in sports, and this was kind of my way in. But getting to actually watch every single game now and meet the players, and they're all so kind, and it's good to like actually, I have met those athletes, and then I get to watch them play, and like I've gained this respect for the sport and have now become a fan watching it. But I wasn't like a diehard growing up Bomber fan.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, I get that, and again, never supposed to ask a woman their age, but you seem pretty young, so I mean, I'm just kind of going through the years. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe the 2007 loss, great, yeah. So I mean, all these things that live in my head,
Mhm.
but that's okay. Like, if it's a way in, to get that experience, I mean, it's huge, as far as that goes. Do you work with Carol Burnett closely in the Bomber store? I always hear great things from her.
I work with Carol. Yes, she is lovely. She uh, she knows everybody, and everybody knows her, and everybody loves her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is quite something. It's the first person as you say, everybody recognizes. I
Hmm.
probably hear Carol's name about half a dozen times in a football season. So and a shout out to Kayla as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. They're all awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to miss anyone. There's and Lorna Alexander too. I can't forget her. She's on the page. So, where do you kind of see yourself kind of down the road in the next, you know, 3, 5 years? And I always say, hey, you don't need to tell us everything, but
Hmm. No, that is a great question. I ask myself that question almost every day because I am a planner, but at the same time, I'm very much so, well, let's see how right now goes and see what the experience I gain today can get me tomorrow.
right.
So I love working with the Bombers. It is such a great organization, such a great community, high aspirations. There's never a dull moment there. So who knows, maybe I can find my way up in that organization or I find there's always something around the corner. You never know really, but I'm ready to take on anything really.
Well, and this is the thing the Bombers get, and I believe you're part of this. You play a role because
Hmm.
it's more than just the 9 home games or the 11 if you get you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it's the fireside chats to go see Stanley Bryant, Chris Trebler last year, and then my daughter asking if Stanley Bryant was named after the Cup Stanley, like, and then and meeting season ticket holders and
Hmm.
establishing that community. And as you say, the I Love to Read month. We just passed February. Facebook reminded me about how Willie Jefferson came out to Steinbach at the RV and with another player and um, Tanner.
Hmm.
And just kind of that meet and greet, or whether it's the faith night with Lauren Coral there, and they're in the lobby there with the Jets, and they're giving of their time, right, and
Hmm.
have an appreciation for Winnipeg. And even players from the past, and have great things to say about Winnipeg and playing here. So I think that's a credit.
Hmm. For sure.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm. Um, Oh yeah, I was gonna bring up my bobblehead.
Oh, very nice.
I had the Andrew Harris one when I had him on last week, and then I showed him, and then I didn't even have it on the show. Uh, so that's good. I'm not sure what more I have to cover as far as that goes, but generally, what I guess maybe a few more questions. So, what do you like to do for fun?
Fun. I feel like in my life I've never really had a lot of free time. So sometimes figuring out what I like to do for fun is a little challenging. Um, but I dabble in the painting. I hesitate to call myself an artist, but I like to paint. So that is my free time, painting, anything outdoors. Absolutely love being outside. Some beach volleyball. That would be very fun for me. Hopefully this year I can play beach volleyball and my ACL allows me to, so that would be very nice.
Yes.
But yeah, I find it hard to find free time. However, hopefully I have some more.
Yeah, I definitely hear you. The older we get, I find the busier it does become. So I
Hmm.
run the half marathons, but I used to run like at 9 o'clock at night, and I just so, sometimes you got to pick and you got to choose.
Yeah.
So I like the dabbling in the painting. I was gonna have Vernon Wells's father on, who played for the Jays, and he's
Hmm.
actually an artist,
Oh
and he played in the
wow.
CFL in 1978. And
Oh,
these
that's
are
awesome.
yeah. So he does all the he does all the artistic work for Upper Deck sports cards. I had no
Oh
idea,
wow.
right? Like who's this guy? I'm just, are you kidding me, right? So
Yeah.
I know my wife took up pottery.
Hmm.
So again, yeah, it's good, right? I think it's the expression. Um, so yeah, promise me one thing, in the last week of November of this year, if the Bombers were to win, you could do a painting of, you know what?
Oh, yes,
That would be
100%.
that, and and maybe you could auction it off or something.
Yeah.
Just a thought. It's like,
That would be fun.
yeah. But I got to tell you, you were probably working for the Bombers in probably the greatest time in the last 25 years.
Hmm.
Again, where people can say the team is kind of long in the tooth. I don't quite buy it, but O'Shea and company have built something here, so you're here at a good time, and
For sure.
what has been built. So I say take advantage
Yes.
of it.
Yeah, I count myself very lucky to have gotten this job and to learn about football through this amazing organization. It's
Mhm.
very, very lucky to be here right now.
Yeah. And so again, I guess a final question, maybe a second final question. What do you love about the game in particular?
The game of football. What do I love in particular?
Yes.
I think I enjoy how many, like the variation of the positions and what type of athlete can play the game. Because growing up playing volleyball, it's like you're tall. If you're not tall, you're a libero. And if you're not tall and you're not a libero, I hope you can jump because
Right.
then you're not playing, right?
Right.
Or you're not playing at any very high level. So seeing football kind of having all these different types of athletes and they all perform in such a like high intensity way, but they're not practicing the same. They're not really attending the same practices. Like you've got your positional practices, whereas volleyball, you've got one practice and everybody's there. So just seeing that variation is super cool to me, and I think I really enjoyed that aspect of the game the most, as much as the cool like touchdowns are flashy. But I mean, I like to see the players do their thing and kind of learn more about those positions and the respect that I gain for what they actually go through.
Yeah, definitely right because the receivers get all the glory and they're good,
Hmm.
but it's the offensive line
Exactly.
that's
That's what I've learned.
important. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see. Those are some conversations I'll have tomorrow with Ed Tate. But
Yeah.
yeah, because they don't get, I go back to when the Bombers drafted Abi Khan out of the expansion draft. Like, why didn't you get Pat Woodcock? Well, there's a reason they
Hmm.
drafted Abi Khan, and now he's running in provincial politics, 20 years later. But
Yeah.
that's the key. You could just watch the Super Bowl and whatever else, right? So, um, or even this last year's Grey Cup,
Yeah.
they're played into it. That's good. I appreciate that answer. I like that. The unique the positions, the
Hmm.
player that it takes for those positions. Yeah, I really like that. It's good. Good, good. And then one final question. Um, who is your who are some of your mentors? I know I'm jumping all over the place here.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Who are some of kind of your mentors, role models that have kind of
Hmm.
led you to this point?
I would say definitely growing up, my club volleyball coach, Sydney Purvis is her name. She now actually coaches at the university level out in Newfoundland. And shout out to her because they made nationals. So they'll be coming to Winnipeg 2 weekends from now, and I'll be cheering for them, but also Manitoba Bisons, of course. But she was amazing. She saw the potential in me. I'm a little bit of a shorter person for volleyball, so I was very lucky to actually make it to post secondary. But her she kind of instilled in me work ethic that I've never lost. Can I can handle a long day because I've gone through long days, I think. So her in that sense, Ken Bentley, obviously, he's taught me a lot in those 5 years of being with him. As a coach, you got to be a little bit hard on your athletes. He's also showed a lot of kindness. So that's helpful. And then I think in career wise, I've got to say that's a tough one. I do look up to my mom quite a bit, although she has not. been in a career as much like when I was a kid. She was a stay-at-home mom. Now she's actually gone back to school to become a psychologist. And I
Nice.
think kind of seeing her do that reminds me that anything's possible. And if, hey, all of a sudden I wanted to go back to school, it's possible. And it's never really too late to chase what you want and
Yep,
go for it. So
that's
she's
right.
definitely taught me a lot in my life about just hard work and pushing through.
Hey, I had a parent go back to school 30 years ago. And yeah, it put me definitely in contact with a lot of other people, but
Hmm.
change a career and all of that. So that's again, that story is not unfamiliar to me. Uh,
Hmm.
so I mean that's good. That's awesome. Any last thoughts as we wrap it up here? I try to go maybe a half hour, 45, but that's why I asked you before how much time you have. But any last thoughts?
Well, I really appreciate you having me on. Fun fact for you, I always tell the people in my life it's my dream to be on a podcast. So the fact that I made it onto one, bucket list, check. I can go to sleep happy now because I was on a podcast.
Well, it's good. And then, I'll put this on YouTube. This is amazing. But that's why I want to get people to come and tell their story because
Hmm.
I always say everybody's story is important. Everybody's story needs to be told. Nobody talks about CFL during the off season. And
Yeah, this is
so
true.
um I'm talking TSN, Sportsnet, that's fact. That's not just fiction. That's
Hmm.
And so, bring you guys on here. I'm very thankful for Sheldon here to put me in contact with you here
Yeah.
and to, what does a game coordinator do? What does this all entail? Everybody thinks it's just magic. Well, it's not,
Yeah.
right? Um, I can't help but think game day coordinator, Section 228 with Lucille, she always has the cookies for us too. So
Oh, yes. Yeah. She's
she made the
awesome.
monster cookies. Yeah, I did a
Yeah.
Facebook Live with her on the page. It was 1,200 views. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, we'll try to hit that.
She's famous.
Yes, she is. She
Yeah.
goes, Steve, I'm gonna run out of cookies now. Um, so that's awesome. That's great. So what I'm gonna do is I'll put this on my YouTube channel after, and you can look it up. It'll be on
Perfect.
my page. It's public, so you can watch it there as well. But yeah, I wish you all the best with the Bombers. We all want that Grey Cup, winning at
Yes.
home, right? And yeah, really appreciate all you guys there at the Bombers and what you guys do, and great to hear about what you do in particular
Hmm.
that makes it all go. And hope to see you at the stadium
For
on
sure.
May 24th.
Yeah. Can't wait. It'll be very exciting.
It's gonna come quick. I'm like,
Oh, you know it.
it's once they, hey, spring ahead, we're good to go.
Yeah, totally.
Good, good. All righty. Well, take care and have a great night.
Thank
God
you. You
bless.
too.
Thank you. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.